A very blessed morning to you all. I'm Father Brian Hoelzen. I am a Legionary of Christ priest, part of the Regnum Christi spiritual family. And it is a bittersweet honor for me to be with you this morning. It is a sweet honor every time as a priest you get to celebrate Mass and look out and see so many people gathered around the Lord. You realize each face you see is a heart that wants to say to the Lord, I love you, and I'm here. And as a spiritual father, that's one of the most beautiful things that you can witness. It's a little bit bitter of an honor because I was not the one who was supposed to have this privilege this morning. It was going to be one of my brothers, but he lost a family member this morning. So I would like to ask you, out of the goodness of your heart, to join me in this Mass in praying for his deceased family member. As communion of saints, let us invoke the Lord's generous mercy and love for his family member. This homily is nestled in the context of the Eucharistic Revival, and I was asked to share some thoughts on the Eucharist and Thanksgiving, the Eucharist and gratitude. And I'd like to do that through the lens of gift. I have one brother. He's 2 years younger, and when we were growing up, we perfected our system of gift giving because we would give each other one gift at Christmas. And before Christmas rolled around, we would go to each other and say, what do you want for your Christmas gift? And we would say exactly what we wanted for our Christmas gift. And we'd each go out and buy it. So there was very little left chance. We each knew, like, I'm going to get exactly what I asked for. Because there was no mystery involved, I remember one year, even sometime in November, my brother and I looked at each other and were like, do you want to just get the gift now so we don't have to wait for another month? And we completely messed up the meaning of our Christmas gifts, but we got what we wanted. It was a little bit crass of an understanding of gift, just about getting something that we wanted. Many, 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 many years later, about 6 years ago, my uncle taught me the true meaning of gift. But to understand how beautiful a gift it was, and I have to rewind again to when I was a seminarian, very luckily studying in Rome. And my uncle came to visit with my two cousins. And my two cousins were doing all sorts of gift shopping in the shops in Rome. And my uncle, incredibly generous, says, hey, Brian, is there anything that you want? And honestly, there wasn't anything that I wanted. But my uncle had this really cool Jerusalem cross medal that he wore. And he'd gotten it during the Jubilee year of 2000. And I said, Uncle Steve, I don't want anything, but if you ever find another one of those crosses, I'd love to have one. It was a special medal made for the Jubilee year and it was really hard to find. He didn't find it anywhere. I never found it anywhere. I was like, well, certain gifts are just once in a lifetime opportunities. Well, fast forward to 6 years ago, and I was going through a pretty important year of my life in which God was really inviting me outside of my comfort zone, like he had never done before. And I had to learn a lot about myself. I had to face a lot about myself, and I had to allow the Lord to reshape my heart in many ways. During that year, my uncle happened to be visiting. I was in New York at the time, and he invited me to go to a concert with him and my aunt. But he said, before the concert, let's get together at the hotel. So we got together at the hotel, and as we're there, he pulls out a tiny little bag, and he says, Brian, I know that this year is a big year for you, and I wanted to give you something. And before I could open it, I already knew what it was. Sure enough, I opened the bag, opened the little box, and there inside the box was that Jerusalem cross I had said I loved probably about 10 years earlier. That Jerusalem cross my uncle had worn for years as something that he cherished. And I thought to myself, how could he be willing to give up something that means so much to him for me? And I felt incredibly loved and incredibly special that he would give me that thing that I had seen with so much appreciation, and that he was now giving me with so much sacrifice and love. And if you compare my gift giving with my brother to that gift from my uncle, they're very different in three ways. They're different in the giver, they're different in the gift, and they're different in the meaning of the gift. My brother and I, as givers, were more or less obliged to give each other gifts. We were brothers. It would look really ugly if on Christmas morning everybody gave us gifts, but we didn't give each other something. We were kind of supposed to just do that. The gift was just that thing that we wanted because neither of us had enough disposable cash to get it for ourselves. There was no real special meaning to it. And that was the third thing. The meaning of the gift was, well, it's Christmas. I want this, you want that. Let's cut a deal. With my uncle, it was very different. The giver was someone who owed me nothing, but who had a very big heart for me. The gift was something that was precious to him, and that it would mean a lot for him to give up, but it meant the world for me to receive. And the meaning of his gift was, Brian, I want you to know that I love you so much that when you need someone in your corner, I will always be here for you, no matter what it costs me. Every morning when I put that cross on, I think of my Uncle Steve, and I think of how much I'm loved. And I'm so honored and grateful by his gift. There's a third story of a gift that we just read a little bit ago about a king who had a son that he loved so much that when his son got married, he wanted to offer this incredible banquet. And he invited anyone and everyone to come because he wanted them to experience the love that he had for his son. But people's reaction was indifference. They didn't care that they were getting a gift. They didn't care about the king. So the king went out and said, please, I'm giving away this amazing gift. Will you come and receive it? And a handful of people came. Of all those guests, the king saw one person who didn't even bother wearing a wedding garment. And he said, why are you here? You obviously don't care that this means a lot to us. You don't seem to want to make it something that's special for you. Really just seems like you're here as a freeloader for free food. And that man was not worthy of that banquet and that gift. Jesus, when I come to receive your gift of the Eucharist, am I aware of the giver? Am I aware of someone who owes me nothing and yet gives me his own Son? Am I aware of the gift, this encapsulating of Jesus going to the cross out of love for me, to give me his very self? And am I aware of what that means? That you loved me so much that you wouldn't just give me a necklace. You would give me the sacrifice of your Son's life to convince me that you have my back and that you love me. Jesus, am I the guy who shows up without the wedding garment of gratitude? Or do I come here and deep in my heart, I see you and I thank you for all that you want to give me every time I walk up in that line to receive you in my heart? I received a beautiful invitation to end this homily by inviting everyone to a minute of reflection and gratitude. So I'd like to do that by sharing with you one of the most provocative signs I've ever read in my entire life. This sign was from my last barbershop in Michigan. The sign said, "If today you only woke up with the things that you thanked God for yesterday, what would you have woken up to today?" And as I sat there getting my hair cut, I would read that sign and go, shoot, I'm in trouble. What would I have woken up to today? What did I, from my heart, thank God the Father for yesterday? So I would like to take literally a minute. I used to do a lot of high school masses, and I discovered how terrifying an entire minute of silence was. But that's what I'd like to invite us to right now. 60 seconds. Keep in mind that thought. If tomorrow I only woke up with the things that I thanked God for in this minute, what things would I want to fill this minute with? And I hope and pray that among those things, we thank God for the gift that in a handful of minutes each one of us will receive, the body and blood of his Son, freely given as a gift to us of love on the cross. In a few minutes, as we offer to the Father the offerings of gifts and bread and wine, As a priest, I will take all those things that you are grateful for and lift them up to the Father, thanking him for his deep mercy and gift of love. With humble and grateful hearts, let us proclaim our faith. I believe in one God, the Father Almighty, maker of heaven and earth, of all things visible and invisible. I believe in one Lord,